Welcome to Markets Now. I'm Michelle Rook with Randy Martinson Ag. Livestock futures all in the red as we start the morning. The grain futures, everything is to the plus side. And Randy, let's talk about corn and soybeans. First of all, we did manage to have higher weekly closes in both of those complexes as well as in the meal market. So are we just seeing maybe a little bit of a short covering rally here, or are we trading some of this news about maybe China being in the market?
I think it's a combination of both, but I think it's more the fact that this market is so oversold. We need to see some correction come into play, and we're going to start going into the planting season up here in the U.S. here fairly soon. And I think the market having no incentive or no weather premium or uncertainty premium worked in, it's finally starting to see some of that come into play. Especially you look at some of the Midwest seeing some increasing in their drought coverage or their drought area, according to the drought monitor map on Thursday. Although there's rain in the forecast, I think that still has some traders a little bit worried about just where we're going to see our acres fall for this year.
Yeah, I mentioned the China business. They have been in buying, but it's been a lot of Ukraine corn. We did get a little sorghum business. Kind of detail out what you've heard so far.
Yeah, we did hear, of course, when China came back after being out on holiday, they started buying. And so far, what we've heard is that they bought close to 20 cargoes of Brazilian soybeans, which isn't a surprise since they're, into their harvest. We've also heard that they bought 16 cargoes of Ukraine corn. That was a little bit of a surprise. And then 4 cargoes of U.S. sorghum, which now I know they traditionally have been a very big buyer of U.S. sorghum. So that isn't such a big surprise.
Yeah. And of course, we've got a lot of that kind of worked into the market here already. We'd heard rumors about that already last week, hadn't we?
We had, especially, with the corn going, Ukraine corn, but we didn't know it was that much. I mean, we heard it was a little lower numbers, and we knew that they were in and buying soybeans. We just didn't know how much. Now we kind of have a better idea of just the numbers.
Yeah, it looks like they're buying for their reserves. They're going to stockpile.
Exactly. And that stands to reason this time of year they'll start building their reserves, and they're going to need product. They know they're starting to do something as far as their hog herd to try to stabilize that as well. So it'll be interesting to see, but I think we're going to see them come back and be somewhat entering in and buying pretty aggressive now to get that reserves filled.
And I want to go back and talk about the technicals. You said we're oversold, so some of this is corrective buying. This was the first higher weekly close in soybeans for, I think, like 11 weeks. And the meal market kind of had a key reversal too. So how much will that help maybe you try to forge a low in that market?
Well, I think quite a bit. I mean, right now we're seeing the oil, the soybean oil market kind of come under a little bit of pressure. And, we've been seeing quite a bit of production as far as meal is concerned too. So I think seeing some export demand is good. We did have an export sale overnight. An unknown destination came in and bought some U.S. soybean meal. So with the Argentina crop being a little bit bigger, that's going to be our biggest competitor. So it's kind of nice seeing that we're seeing that market move forward and getting some exports.
And prices must have gotten low enough here that we had Taiwan come in and buy a little bit of export corn this morning. And so do you expect to see a few more sales or not?
I do, especially, spring is usually not the time we see bottoms put in markets. It's usually when we start to see tops. So I would think any of those end users right now looking to need product are going to be coming in and buying here in the short term, especially anything that they need between now and the next U.S. harvest. So I would expect some aggressive buying come in. We've had good sales on corn over the last few weeks. I mean, we've been well over 1 million metric ton. We've been shipping a good amount. Let's just hope that we can continue to hold those sales.
Absolutely. Okay, wheat market back up this morning. We got tanked on Friday with new contract lows over in Paris milling wheat. So we're seeing a rebound there this morning.
We are, and I think it's a combination of, the Paris milling wheat's up a little bit this morning. So, I mean, that's trading with a little bit of strength. But also, we've gotten our wheat market down low enough where we're starting to lose a lot more acres. There's a lot more competitive crops that are going to be looked at, especially up here in the Northern Plains. So I think if spring wheat doesn't start to see a little bit of price movement, it's going to lose a significant amount of acreage.
That is a nice segue into talking about crop insurance prices. The February base prices were set. Talk about what they are and how much below last year they are.
Oh yeah, we're seeing, of course, the prices were set in the average for the month of February. Right now, most are seeing, $1.50 to $2 lower than last year. So we are looking at significantly lower base prices, which means that our guarantees are going to be quite a bit lower than last year. Premiums came down a little bit with that as well. But I mean, for the guys to get the same kind of coverage that they had last year, it's going to take going up a level or maybe two levels to get the same kind of guarantees that you were looking at last year.
And last year, the 591 base price for corn definitely attracted or held a few of those corn acres. Do you think the fact that all of these prices are lower, will it have any influence on planting decisions at all?
I think it will. I mean, you're certainly looking at, like I said, especially up here in the Northern Plains where we have a few more choices for crops. I think guys are going to be looking at some of the specialty crops, some of the minor crops, and planting those. And durum certainly had a lot better price than spring wheat. Guys will look at the durum market. Dry edible beans certainly have some decent prices. Guys are going to look at that market. They'll look at canola. So I think there is going to be a little bit more opportunity for other crops to gain acreage, but it's going to be more in the fringe areas. The Corn Belt, they're pretty well stocked with their rotation.
Gotcha. And we have a report coming up on Friday. We also have CONAB numbers out this week. So, USDA, as far as the domestic numbers, we don't get a lot of changes in March.
We don't, and I'm not looking for much to happen as far as the U.S. numbers. I mean, we've got the quarterly grain stocks report that'll come out at the end of March. That's going to be a little bit bigger to watch, and of course, then the prospective plantings report comes out at the end of March as well. So I think the market will see a little bit of tweaking with U.S. numbers and supply and demand, or on the demand side, but nothing on the supply side. And I think most traders will be watching the South American numbers from more, just to see if USDA and CONAB come a little bit more in line with each other.
Yeah, we get both of those reports out this week, right?
We should, yes, I believe we're going to get CONAB in the morning on Friday morning, and then we'll get USDA at 11 o'clock. And like I said, there's a big disparity between the two. It'll be interesting to see if they can come a little closer.
Yeah, I think we're expecting USDA to go down on South American numbers. Like you said, the big question is how much. Let's also talk about the fund positions, because we did see the funds exit some of their corn position on the short side, but they actually added to it on soybeans.
Yeah, unfortunately, right now you've got, and soybeans really don't have a bright, short-term outlook, especially with the harvest going on in South America. So that's going to continue to cloud that market, and why the funds are likely to hold on a little bit longer. But for corn, we had a lot of March basis fixed contracts, a lot of March options. Those are done now, and I think that helped open up the corn market to see a little bit of strength and see some short covering.
And livestock are in negative territory. We had a pretty good week and just about everything but feeder cattle last week. But with higher corn prices, is that what's weighing on the market this morning, or are we seeing some profit taking, or what?
We got to, kind of like the grains got oversold, the cattle got overbought. So I think we are seeing a little bit of technical move in as far as the cattle markets are concerned. I also think a lot of it is profit taking, but we're also seeing some concerns. The grains are a little bit higher. That's increasing feed costs, but we're also looking at a little slowdown on the domestic side, with packers slowing down some kills. We're also looking at concerns about the economy, that the fact that we're not going to be seeing an interest rate reduction in March. I think all that's kind of weighing on the market.
Yeah. And the hog market, is it, I guess, right now also kind of up into some chart resistance, because we got those back months over $100. You would have thought we'd have got some hedge pressure or something back there.
Well, I think we did, and just some psychological selling stepped in the market at that point too. So I think it's a little bit of technical pressure coming in as far as the hogs are concerned.
Gotcha. And we want to remind folks, you're going to be joining me for a market roundtable up at the CHS Ag Industry Day in Grand Forks.
Yeah, sounds like it'll be fun.
Yeah. So we'll put some links up on the pages, or the website pages for that. And so folks can join us live there for our live streaming 2 to 3 on Thursday. All right. Thanks for joining us. Randy Martinson with Martinson Ag. That is Markets Now.